the show. Of course, the International Blind Cricket has just finished up in Brisbane. We've been very, very lucky indeed to get our two guests in, mate. Michael Zannis, who's played over 100 games, if you don't mind, for Australia, plus 130 for South Australia. Still looks like he's got another couple of hundred in him.
So, no problem.
Yeah, he's just jogged in. Yeah. And David Penn, the president, joins us as well. Appreciate your time, fellas.
Nice, thank you.
Hey, Mike, let's start with you, mate. Blind cricket, you've played over 100 games for Australia. Just off the top of your head, mate, could you give us maybe two of your most memorable games for Australia?
I think smashing up a nice little 50 in the first 10 overs of a T20 against India over in India. Wow. And certainly in a World Cup, just playing against New Zealand, I think making 90 off about 50 balls. So they're probably the best two moments. But for Australia, just getting through and unfortunately losing in a semi-final of a World Cup is probably the most disappointing moment.
Yeah. Hey, where was the World Cup played?
India.
In India.
So yeah, we've had a few World Cups in India, and it tends to be pretty strong in blind cricket, and we love getting over there. But it's a fantastic opportunity to be at that top level and be able to travel the world playing a bit of blind cricket.
Mate, there's another one coming up this year, another World Cup in India. Yeah. If we're a chance to get there, I know it's later in the year. How many South Aussies would make that team?
Got two in the squad currently, but looking at least another two or three that I believe are in and around the place. So hopefully with a bit of training and we can get them through, it'd be great to have 4 or 5 South Aussie blokes in the squad.
There's been a major overhaul, hasn't there, with the blind cricket, with the rules. That was something I wasn't aware of until I read up on it.
Yeah.
That, in England, they would use a virtual soccer ball as a...
Yep.
Where we use the traditional size.
Well, they need a bigger ball because they can't.
Well, I needed a bigger ball when I played. Where was the bigger ball when I played? I needed a soccer ball. But there has been a major overhaul, David, in the game.
There has, yeah. So blind cricket developed in each of the cricket-playing countries separately. So they all sort of came up with their own version of the game, and as you've said, in England they used a larger size or soccer-sized ball. Australia had a woven nylon ball, which was used predominantly for club and domestic cricket here. So the problem became in the 1990s that nations couldn't play against each other because they all had different versions of the game.
Yeah.
So mid-1990s, all of the blind cricket nations got together and unified the rules, essentially, so that they could play a World Cup later that year in 1996. And as a result, that's why we decided on this ball that you guys have got on your desk, which is a hard moulded plastic ball, which is now what's called the international balls. That's the standard ball that's used now.
Was it met okay? Was it okay with the other countries to come to this decision with the rules? I mean, some of these countries would have been playing the same way. They want it their way, is what I'm saying. Do we want to use a soccer ball or do we want to use this?
A lot of negotiations we certainly had, a lot of toing and froing, but ultimately everyone wanted the internalisation of our game, and it's great to be able to tour and play different countries, whether it be Sri Lanka or India or Pakistan or the West Indies, South Africa. I think the opportunity to go across the world and be able to play is more than just hanging on to your own local specific opportunities. So in those kind of things, there was a real willingness to get together and make it all one, standard ones that everyone could train, everyone knew what was going to be taking place. Yeah, there's always arguments and debates, but ultimately it's getting everyone, and blind cricket is very similar to traditional cricket. It's cricket just for those who are totally blind like myself, or for those who have a vision impairment so can see a little bit. So just that international opportunity was, I guess, what brought it all together.
So this is the ball?
That's the
one that
international ball
around the world now.
It is. Yep.
So if you shake it, it makes
it's got a little bit of noise.
Yeah, so it's much like a baby's rattle, which is great because you're not being able to see. I need it to make a sound so I know where it is on the park. Otherwise, it's not a lot of fun out there. But for me, it's having that opportunity to get out there and in the fresh air, just like anyone else, and play a game of cricket that everyone loves. And you do. When you're a kid, you grow up in the backyard, dreaming about playing for Australia and wanting to be like that. And just because you don't have eyesight or your eyesight is severely vision impaired, then why should that prevent you from having a crack at playing cricket or having a crack in life? So, to be able to live that dream of playing for your country and having the national anthem and getting a baggy green, all of those things that every little boy, every little girl, has. To have that opportunity is just absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, mate, that's well said, mate. Making me get the tingles, mate. I'd say make my hair stands up. Mike, you can't say I haven't got any, mate. So I was just saying before, I was talking to Dave about this when I worked at Jeff Motley and Alan Greer. Yeah. There was a lovely man that used to come in, and he'd occasionally come in to get the cricket balls. They were actually almost a mesh, and they had a Coca-Cola tops in them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
so it's just amazing how technology changes.
Yeah.
Hey, Mike, we talk about pitches getting doctored when the Australian team goes away and plays, mate. When the blind Australian team goes to India or other places, I'm not suggesting they do it. I'm just wondering if the pitches are that different.
They are significantly different to here, and certainly does suit their conditions and their type of cricket, absolutely. But I remember playing a game in India, and obviously listening to the ball is a little bit important for us. So it was amazing while the Indians batted, there was a building site next door, while the Indians batted, they all just watched. When we went into bat, it's amazing how the building site came to life. So all the jackhammers started up, and so all of those kind of things occurred. So all the stories you hear about travelling, absolutely, they'll certainly occur, but it's all part of the fun of it all. And if you look at it in a way of just a big adventure, then you take it on board, and you're not that happy at the time, but you just go, that's what happens.
But you've just come back from the international series in Brisbane. Australia defeated New Zealand 7-0, so we're obviously pretty pleased with ourselves at the moment. How did you see the series? Yeah,
it was wonderful. Look, the Kiwis came off a pretty low base. We're very thankful for them. Unfortunately, England were slated to play us. We're going to have a blind Ashes series, and that unfortunately fell through. So the Kiwis stepped up on very limited opportunity and limited time. So they basically came together in a 6-week program. If you reckon it's cold here in SA, you can only imagine what it's like over in New Zealand at the moment. So cricket's probably not the best sport to be playing. So their opportunity and for training was pretty limited, but they gave us a fair run for our money, and it was really only due to some outstanding play by our blokes that we did so very well. But 7-0 we're very happy with, and hopefully we can use it as a really good platform leading into a World Cup at the end of the year.
England avoiding us? What are they doing?
Yeah, we'd like to think so. We'd like to think so. We don't really know why it all occurred, but we're certainly letting the boys know that they're running scared. We've already put the heat on them through our local communications. But we don't know why it didn't happen. So hopefully they'll be at the World Cup, and we can continue the battle that is Australia and England.
Tell them to bring a soccer ball over, mate. They can use it. We'll still give them a belting. We'll still give them a bit of a hiding. But that sounds a bit dodgy to me.
It does sound a bit dodgy. Mate, we're talking about some memorable moments that happened through the series. Stefan Nero hits a 309. It's pretty impressive.
It's amazing. He's a 23-year-old young fella who's studying criminal law, who trains 3 hours basically a day in and around his studies. He's working part-time, and he goes and knocks up 309 in an ODI. So amazing achievement. I was there for his 50, his 100 and his 150, then I got out, so I wasn't there for the end of it. But he was certainly exhausted afterwards. But he's an amazing, humble, decent young adult who's just got an outstanding future on and off the cricket pitch.
Wow. Dave, manager's always hard, mate, regardless of what team you're with, be it juniors, be it seniors. Blind cricketers, mate, they get up to a bit of mischief from time to time?
Oh, well, look, people ask me about that, and I can't tell too many stories, but, look, a bunch of cricketers on tour, a few things go on. Fortunately... the manager might have had a few calls about sort of late night noise in the corridors of the apartments and so on. But we've actually got a really good bunch of guys who have worked really hard over the last couple of years on their game, and so really took the opportunity in this series. So a great group.
Your family, you have a long history in this game.
I do.
Dating back to your dad?
Yes, that's right. Yeah. So Dad lost his sight as a 4-year-old to an accident. So he grew up totally blind and studied here in Adelaide, and he found blind cricket in I think in his 20s, and so he played blind cricket for the club and for South Australia from the early 1970s into the 1990s. He was president of the club, and he was also involved in that meeting in the 90s to bring all of the different international rules together in the lead up to that original international series.
Hey, mate, appreciate you two guys coming in.
good on you
Absolute
guys.
pleasure to meet a superstar like you, Mike, a blind cricketer, mate. Absolutely outstanding. Dave, appreciate your time, mate. Stay with us.
No worries.
Thank
Still
you.
a little bit more to come on the show.